welcome back to Risa Does Makeup. Today I'm going to be sharing with you 5 eyeshadow palettes that I consider to be extremely underrated. As you might expect, I own a lot of eyeshadow palettes. About a year ago, I posted an eyeshadow palette declutter, and I got a lot of flack for making a pile for backup, like the palettes that I really should get rid of, but I wasn't ready to. So I had a keep pile, I had a giveaway pile, and I had a backup pile that was going into some drawers in my closet. So I got a lot of people saying, that's not how you do a declutter. You should have gotten rid of more. And since then, I really haven't filmed more declutters. But I did go through my backup pile a while ago and ended up, getting rid of some. But before I purged those eyeshadow palettes in the backup pile, I felt like I wanted to give some of them one more chance to see if I would really use them. And lo and behold, a couple of them have moved up from those backup drawers. They were saved from the purge pile, and now I feel like I'm reaching for them all the time. So I'm going to start with 2 palettes that were so close to being either thrown away or given away, and I am so glad something in me decided to give them another chance because they are so great. Many of you know that I, for the most part, am a high-end eyeshadow or eyeshadow palette buyer. I tend to feel like the pigments and the texture and the blendability of the higher-end eyeshadows is just better. So I don't tend to buy a lot of palettes from the drugstore. But recently, as I mentioned earlier, I rediscovered this palette from L'Oreal. It's the La Palette Nude. And the reason why I decided to bring this out again was after I got that new Marc Jacobs Stiletto palette that I posted a video on about a week or 2 ago, a week and a half ago. And I remembered how much I liked cooler tones on my eyes. I consider myself to have a neutral skin tone. I've been wearing warm tones like many of us for a long, long time. And then when I purchased that Marc Jacobs palette and I did the video on it and all of you were saying how much you love the cooler tones on me, I remembered that yeah, I do like cooler tones sometimes. So that's why I gave this palette another chance. So this palette is all matte. They have a gradient as far as their depth goes. So there's a lot of options here. You can do an everyday natural look, or you can deepen it up for a nighttime look. There's no rich brown in here. There's no deep dark black in here. But if those aren't shadows that you use on a regular basis, then this is perfect. If you like mostly neutral to cool tones, maybe a pop of purple, and that's what I have on now. I have a shimmer shade on my lid from another palette I'm going to show you, but these shadows are so blendable and soft. They really feel to me like they're a high-end eyeshadow. A lot of people have a preconceived notion that matte shadows from the drugstore are going to be chalky, they're gonna have a lot of fallout, they're gonna have a lot of kick up, and that can be true. That's one of the reasons why I always hesitate to buy eyeshadows at the drugstore, especially matte shadows. But this one, have no fear, they are of an exceptional quality. And then the other one that was on the chopping block, but I rediscovered it and fell back in love, it is this one from the Balm. It is called Nude Beach. Now, Nude Beach does remind me a little bit of Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance. So if you already have that one, you probably wouldn't need to consider this one. But if you don't have the ABH Modern Renaissance, or you find that there's too many shades in there that you wouldn't use, then take a look at this one. And if you are in the US and you have a Kohl's department store, you know how often you can get that Kohl's cash, and it does work on cosmetics. Their coupons usually don't work on cosmetics, but their Kohl's cash does. So like all of the shadows I'm going to be showing you in this video, so I don't have to repeat myself over and over, they're all richly pigmented and blendable. And this does come with a brush. Unfortunately, it's not a great quality brush. Like the brushes that come in the Anastasia Beverly Hills palettes or the ones that come in the Urban Decay palettes, those are usually pretty decent quality brushes. This one is more like a throwaway. And it's great for travel because it's thin and it's not breakable. I think the Balm is underrated as a brand. The makeup boutique that I owned 10 years ago used to carry this brand, and I would reach for it a lot when I would do client makeovers because it really is excellent quality. And since then, it's only improved. And I think it's really overlooked because it's not available in Sephora and it's not available at Ulta, so not that many people purchase it. But if you're at a Kohl's or you can get it online, I highly recommend checking it out. And they also often run flash sales where they will have 30 to 40% off, sometimes even 50% off on their website. And no, this video is not sponsored by the balm. It's not sponsored by anyone. These are just my picks for the best underrated eyeshadow palettes. Speaking of sponsored, this next palette was shown last fall by me in a sponsored video. But as my subscribers know, I do not do a ton of sponsored videos, and the ones that I do accept are always with brands that I have used in the past. Maybe I've purchased from them before, or I've had time to really try out the product. And in the case of Sam Marcel, I purchased a lot of their products and promoted a lot of their products before they came to me and offered me a sponsorship. It's called the Le Debut Neutral Eyeshadow Palette, and I can link the video that I did using it where I showed a day to night look. It has 12 shades, both matte and shimmer. It retails for $37. That is definitely higher than what I remember it being last fall. I don't know if my promo code still works, and it's not a promo code that I get commission on, but I want you to save some money if you can, and 20% is, a decent amount. I know a lot of viewers really become skeptical of sponsored videos when you see a YouTuber use a product for a video and then you never see them talk about it or use it again. Well, I assure you that this has been in constant rotation since I received it back in, it was either August or September. I still recommend it. I still use it. I still think it's definitely a great underrated product. This next palette, called the Minimalist from LC Cosmetics, I purchased back in November. It's a pretty basic, plain palette, that's obvious. But if you are a makeup minimalist, like the name of the palette, then you need to get this because it is so versatile. You can do any look with this and then pop a different color on your lid. You can do anything you want to add color to this palette. So when I travel, sometimes I can't just take one palette. So let me be 100% honest and real. I can't just take one palette when I travel, but one of the palettes I always do bring is this one because I know that I can basically get started with this. Put this shade under my brow or on my lid, put a mixture of either this one or this one, any mixture of these three in my crease, use this in my outer corner, maybe use the brown in my outer corner, or use the black as my liner, and then pop a cream eyeshadow on the lid or just a Stila glitter, liquid glitter or something like that. I can add color to the look, but this palette is definitely a great foundation for any look. And then lastly is my favorite of all of them. It's the Dose of Colors Hidden Treasures eyeshadow palette. Now I did make sure before I did this video that all of these palettes are still available. I thought perhaps this one was discontinued, but you can still get it. So it has 4 matte shades and 6 shimmers. And if you look closely, the matte shades are almost identical to the matte shades in this Elsie palette that I just showed. And you're probably wondering, why would you have bought the Elsie palette when you already have identical colors in another palette? That's a very good question, but not a good question to ask a complete and total makeup junkie addict. I am a makeup addict and YouTuber, sort of feel like it's my duty to buy these eyeshadow palettes so that I can compare them for you. That's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. And if you're curious, what I have on now is shades from the La Palette Nude, and then on my lid is the shade Gemstone from the Hidden Treasures palette. So that'll do it, guys. Those are my picks for the most underrated, or 5 of the most underrated eyeshadow palettes. I really hope you guys liked this video. Let me know in the comments what your favorite underrated eyeshadow palette is. Maybe I'll go check it out. And don't forget to subscribe, and you can also find me on Instagram and Snapchat, Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest. My username on all of those platforms is the same. It's just Risa Does Makeup, or at Risa Does Makeup, and I'll put that on the screen for you. Once again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video.